It's always great when Doug comes out to the community because it's always good news. I'm surrounded by many other colleagues here today, especially in the East End, where we saw the upload of the 174. We've seen many announcements that benefit the City of Ottawa, and we have a relationship that is really formed well between our Mayor, Mark Sutcliffe, as well as the government and Doug Ford to ensure that we get the most we can for this city. But today we're here talking about this beautiful facility, the workers that it employs in the neighborhood, and the Canadian products that they do have. On that note, I'll turn the floor over to our great Mayor, Mark Sutcliffe.
Thank you, Tim. Bonjour tout le monde. C'est vraiment un plaisir d'être ici aujourd'hui pour cette annonce très importante. Et tout d'abord, je tiens à remercier l'équipe d'Ambico de nous accueillir ici aujourd'hui. I want to say thank you to Judah and the team at Ambico, team all over the place here, a great team. Thank you for welcoming us here today. I'm grateful to the Premier and his team for highlighting a successful family-owned Ottawa business today here in the east end of our city, a business that, like many other companies in Ottawa, is facing some anxiety over the prospect of a tariff battle with the United States. Even if there is a temporary reprieve, we all need to continue to work together to respond to this ongoing crisis. I'm glad to be joined today. Je suis très heureux d'être ici avec mes collègues du Conseil municipal. I'm joined by my colleagues, Tim Tierney, who you saw, Glenn Gower, Kathy Curry, Marty Carr, Catherine Kitts, and Laura Dudas. And Tim, it's always great to be in Beacon Hill-Surville Ward, and you're a great champion of local businesses in this ward. So I'm very excited about the announcement we're about to hear from the Premier today. Over the course of the past few months, I have been speaking regularly with the Premier, with Transportation Minister Prabmeet Sarkaria, who's here today as well. We've been talking regularly with the Premier, with the Minister, with others on their team about Ottawa's challenges. And I think what we're going to see today is a very strong example of the Premier's willingness to listen and to respond, not with a small Band-Aid solution, but with something meaningful, something that has the potential to be a real game changer for Ottawa. So Premier, thank you very much. I'll turn it over to you. Premier Doug Ford.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, and I'm thrilled to be in Ottawa, and thank you to the amazing team at Ambico and Tim. You're doing great. Everyone here is actually incredible. This is what I'm talking about supporting Ontario-made products. You know, you look at these doors that they make, they're regular doors. They're like explosion-proof steel doors and every type of door you can think of for security in buildings. We need to buy 100% Ontario, and if they don't make it in Ontario, we have to buy 100% Canadian. Pass that message on, and I'm so glad that the municipalities are going to follow suit. There's 444 municipalities, and I'll guarantee you all 444 buy doors like they make right here at Ambico. And thank you, Mayor. You know, the Mayor and I have had an incredible relationship for a long time, since the day he's been elected. And I want to thank you for being an absolute champion for the city and for being such a great partner. But you can't do anything if you're Mayor or you're Premier without your colleagues and the city councillors here. They've helped out so much, move things along. So I know I remind them every single time. I always say, I walked a mile in your shoes. When in politics, city councillor is probably one of the toughest jobs out there. You're on the front doors. And I told them, I keep forgetting I'm not a city councillor because I still go to people's doors. But I'm really excited to be here today to talk about the future of that partnership, to talk about the future of this great city. I also brought incredible candidates that are, God willing, going to be representing Ottawa down at Queen's Park. I just want to acknowledge them as well. I call it the team of champions, and headed up by Prab. He was doing such a great job as Minister of Transportation, and we look forward to getting back to that situation. Before I do, I want to just touch on last night's developments, because we got some really good news yesterday. President Trump has paused his tariffs, as you heard. We've averted an absolute disaster, at least for now. And when I say a disaster, you know, I get a lot of messages. I think last time I checked, I'm up to 2,643 messages on my phone, and I apologize, I can't get back to everyone, but all sorts of different messages. But folks, I can't stress how important this is to make sure we negotiate fairly and just get a deal. We have more time for more negotiations and more time for cooler heads to prevail. I want to thank the countless workers, the union leaders that have helped out, the businesses, and everyday proud Canadians, everyone who rallied together to make this happen. But make no mistake, Canada and Ontario continue to stare down the threat of tariffs. Whether it's tomorrow, in a month, or a year from now, President Trump will continue to use the threat of tariffs to get what he wants. We are already feeling the impact. Uncertainty around, not here in just Canada and Ontario, but in the U.S. I talked to a lot of people down in the U.S. and you saw the market, you know, it tanked and then it went back up, still lost about 150 points, but nothing is worse than uncertainty. So today, the only thing that's certain is uncertainty for the next 30 days. So as long as our trading relationship with our largest trading partner is up in the air, we'll continue to see potential projects sit frozen. With projects already underway being put at risk, Canada and the U.S. need to remain united. We need to remain focused on the real trade war we're fighting, and that's with China. China is hijacking global supply chains, using Mexico as a backdoor into American and Canadian markets, undercutting our workers. If the U.S. and Canada want to win, we need to fight together, not each other. If Ontario wants to win, we need to protect our economy. We need to protect Ottawa's economy. In March 2024, I was honored to stand with Mayor Sutcliffe to announce a new deal for Ottawa. This was a historic moment that delivered real support for our nation's capital, Ontario's second largest city, the economic hub for Eastern Ontario. Uploading Highway 174 with $56 million in immediate funding for its repair and upgrade, $181 million for highways and transit, including building a new interchange at 416 and Barnsdale Road, and $50 million to repair and upgrade rural roads, and $48 million to enhance public safety, including on public transit and in the Byward Market. Today, I'm thrilled to announce again, standing with Mayor Sutcliffe for another historic announcement and their council. With the threat of President Trump's tariffs continuing to loom over Ontario, it's never been more important to invest in our economy, support taxpayers, and keep costs down for hardworking families. That's why a re-elected PC government will upload the Ottawa LRT. Yeah. Absolutely. That's good. Doing so will free up significant funds and capital. You know, I think, Mayor, over 30 years, about $4 billion for Mayor Sutcliffe and the city government to invest in other priorities, helping to support local taxpayers by reducing operational costs, improving local services, and keeping costs down for hardworking families here in Ottawa. This will be more important than ever as the LRT project completes Stage 2 and begin Stage 3 expansion into more communities across the region. Friends, this is about supporting the City of Ottawa. It's about supporting local taxpayers. It's about supporting commuters. It's about supporting economic growth. This is about protecting Ontario, protecting Ottawa. With your support, with a strong, stable 4-year mandate that outlives and outlasts the Trump administration, we will navigate this period of economic uncertainty. We will stare down the threat of Trump's tariffs and do whatever it takes, whatever is necessary to protect Ontario, our workers, businesses, and communities. Because make no mistake, the threat of tariffs is still very real. Mark my words, President Trump is on a mission. He wants to take Ontario's auto jobs and send them to Michigan and North Carolina. Those are his words, and many other jobs. He says America doesn't need anything Canada has. Those are his words. He wants to use economic force to get his way. Again, those are his words. For now, President Trump's tariffs are on hold for 30 days. He's going to use that time to renegotiate our entire trade agreement. Given the chance, he's going to use every day he's in office to undermine our economy, to benefit his own. Ontario and Canada are in a battle for the next 4 years, a trade battle, a diplomatic battle, an economic battle. We have to work every angle, use every relationship we've got, governors, senators, congressmen, and women, to make sure President Trump understands this simple fact. We are so much stronger together. With your support, I will take these battles on. I will take our message stateside. I will work with whoever, wherever, whenever to win. I will protect Ontario. Thank you so much, and may God bless the people of Ontario. Thank you. Thank you.
We will now open the floor for questions from the media. Please come to the mic and state your name and outlet. Just a reminder, it's one question and one follow-up. First question.
Mr. Ford, Ian Bailey from the Globe and Mail.
Hi,
We've
Ian.
all seen the hot mic footage of you talking about Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Bonnie Crombie's team has cut an ad and put that out there. I
Yeah.
wonder if you could tell us, why did you support Mr. Trump ahead of the election when it was clear he was going to target Canada with tariffs?
Well, you know something, I always believe in working with anyone. And yeah, on the hot mic, yeah, he makes me swear once in a while. I think he makes a lot of people swear in this country. So I thought it'd be a little different, a little change, but obviously he decided to pull the knife out and stab us. And when I'm there, my number one job is to protect Ontario, to protect Canadians. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I will fight with every single tool I have in our toolbox to make sure we defend the people of Ontario and, in return, defend the people of Canada.
As a follow-up, how do you see the next 30 days unfolding with the tariffs suspended? What worked?
Well,
What didn't
yeah.
work? What do you have to change to? Do you think you can head off the tariffs altogether?
Well, we'll do our best. I'm going to head down there on the 11th and 12th, back there on the 20th. We're constantly talking to the governors and senators and congressmen and women. We have to make sure that the American people understand what it will do to their economy. There's going to be layoffs. There's going to be inflation in both countries. It's going to be causing the interest rates to go up. When the inflation goes up, interest rates will go up. It'll be a disaster. My American friends, and I have a lot of American friends, and I love the U.S., and so do Canadians, right across the board. And I know Americans love Canadians. No one, not one single person, not one elected official is going, Canada's the problem. It's just not happening. You know, the problem is China shipping in cheap parts to go into Mexico. Mexico slaps on that Made in Mexico sticker, ships it up through the U.S. and Canada, and cost American and Canadian jobs. I'm there to protect against these threats from China, from Mexico, and now the threats of tariffs from the U.S.
Hi, Mr. Ford. Kate Porter with CBC
Hi, Kate.
Ottawa. You just mentioned $4 billion in upload from the city. Ottawa has trains, tracks, debt, lawsuits. What are the details here? Are you saying that Metrolinx is going to upload all of that, and when?
Yes, well, I can pass that over to, I almost called him the minister. He's not the minister. He's Prabmeet Sarkaria, and maybe you could talk about that a little bit. But what the point is here, we're going to take the burden off of Ottawa. Their number one anchor around their neck is the cost of this LRT. We all saw what happened on phase one. We're correcting that, all of us. Phase two, it's going to be much better, and phase three will be great. But Prab, do you want to say a few words? As the MPP from Brampton, not from anything else, just to go on record.
Yeah, thank you very much. So just like we operate many of our LRTs, I think one of the suggestions from Mayor Sutcliffe in our conversations had been about how the Ottawa LRT had additional costs. So when you talk about life cycle costs, life cycle and capital costs, those are what we will continue to work with in our team at Metrolinx to ensure this upload takes place. And as the Premier said, this is about taking that burden off the city, and so we work very, very closely with them to ensure that happens and deliver and help deliver that better transit options for the city. I think it's a big day for transit. It's a big day for the City of Ottawa. We want to be there hand in hand supporting that and ensuring that we can get that service delivered.
Sorry, just clarity though, are you suggesting like OC Transpo keeps running everything as happens in Toronto when you take over the assets and all of our lawsuits and our debt payments and all of that?
Yeah, so OC Transpo would ideally still operate it, just like we have on our lines in Toronto as well. So we keep that Ottawa element and also continue to build upon that with our expertise at Metrolinx, but ultimately taking that burden off the city with respect to the costs that they are seeing with it. So it's a win-win for everybody. We'll bring in our expertise. It's a great day for transit in Ottawa, and we want to continue building on the success along with the Ottawa New Deal on our investments in roads and the uploads of the highways as well. So we look forward to working on that and to bringing that forward with the Mayor and the OC Transpo team.
Neville Hunt with the Community Voice newspaper
Hi,
in
Neville.
Canada. I've asked you questions about the Canada Lakes Golf Course before, but you said that with the case before the courts, you couldn't comment. The Ontario Court of Appeal has ruled that Club Link can build homes on the Canada Lakes Golf Course lands. It's no longer before the courts. When Club Link wanted to build homes on the Glen Abbey Golf Course, your government stepped in and with one phone call got the plans stopped. Will you act to prevent development of the Canada lands that were to remain green in perpetuity?
Well, I'd have to dig into that. Thanks for informing me. It's gone through the courts, but well, I'll look into that. But I just can't, I just don't know about the case as much as you do. So just give me time to look into that and I can get back to you.
On June 20th, 2023, you were in the riding. I asked you a question. You responded that you weren't familiar with it and
Yeah, I'm
that you
still
would
not.
provide a direct answer, and I have never received a call back.
Well, if you give your number over to one of my folks there, I'll be able to give you a call back. Thank you.
David Aiken, Global News. Good
Hi, Dave.
morning. Good afternoon, Premier.
How are you doing?
Good to have you in Ottawa.
Yeah, great to be here always.
I wanted to ask about the border security details announced
Yes.
by the federal government yesterday, whether you think that's sufficient, and also we're trying to figure out where this 10,000 border personnel is going to come from. I wonder if it might be OPP personnel perhaps will be part of this calculation. Give me your thoughts about that border security.
Well, I think we've always put that in the window over the last 3 or 4 weeks. The federal government is coming out, investing $1.3 billion, and that's buying more helicopters, more boots on the ground, hiring more CBSA officers, and working collaboratively with the DEA and the U.S. Border Security, with the RCMP. Here, the OPP have over 200 officers ready to go, as well as drones and our helicopters and boot patrol, ATV patrol. So we're going to tighten that border up until it squeaks. But it works on both sides of the border, by the way. And I've mentioned this in a couple of newscasts down in the U.S. Yeah, I've been on the PM for a long time about tightening up the border. We are tightening up the border. When President Trump says he needs the border tightened up, we acted immediately, and we're going to continue to act immediately. But let's keep in mind, which I've said to the U.S., and I'll say that, I've said it to the elected officials, it works two ways. We've seen over 25,000 kilos of cocaine, heroin, opioids come across from our southern border into Canada. We've seen illegal guns at 95% of these heinous crimes that are committed not just in Ottawa, in Toronto, the outlying region, they're all coming from the U.S. So in saying all that, we have to work together. And we have been working together. I met with the DEA. We've met with the Border Patrol. We met with our OPP and RCMP, and everyone's pitching in. That's the way it should work. It's not one-sided here.
And I don't know if you had a chance to watch the president in the Oval Office yesterday afternoon. He made a lot of comments, one of which was, I'd like to see Canada become our 51st state. And that's a direct quote. How can we sit down and negotiate with somebody who's got that in the back of his head? Is that wise? And he's broken CUSMA. He was about to violate all sorts of terms of CUSMA. How can we trust this guy?
Yeah, it's very simple. Canada's not for sale. That's off the table right there. And I can't control what the president says. I don't think too many people can. But in saying that, he has some really smart people around him. And anyone who thinks Donald Trump is not a smart negotiator, he's a negotiator, trust me. You don't become president twice and run a big business without being a super smart negotiator. But it's about working together and explaining to the American people. That's where the pressure comes. The pressure comes from the senators, the governors, the congresswomen and men that are getting calls from their constituents, shouting up and down and screaming. It's like 3,600 products the LCBO was ready to pull off the shelves. Just think of this, folks. 3,600 products, 35 states, and out of the 3,600 products, I'm guessing close to over 2,000 companies, all calling up their federal senator, their federal congressperson, their local congressperson, state congressperson, their governor. Lines are blowing up. There's one thing I learned. I've learned a lot. One thing, don't mess with people's booze. They lose their minds. And that's what happened last negotiation when we pulled, we pulled some booze off the shelves last time, the bourbon in Kentucky. People love the bourbon. It's their country, their state, their religion, and then bourbon in Kentucky. That's how it goes.
Hey, Premier Ford, David Baxter here from the Canadian Press. Now, you called this election to respond to the tariff threat. We now know there's going to be that 30-day reprieve there, and there is still more work to do there, of course. But there are a lot of issues affecting Ontarians here at home. Many can't find a family doctor. We're still dealing with a housing crisis. When will Ontarians hear your plans to address the health and housing issues the province faces?
Yeah, well, we've been working hard. We put more stuff up front. Matter of fact, the mayor ended up getting a nice big check with the city council because he met the BFF fund. And we're going to continue making sure that we invest and cut red tape and regulations. Nothing gets frustrating more, gets me more frustrated than, and it doesn't happen in Ottawa that much, but other jurisdictions, let's say. I went to a company yesterday and they said, well, we might be moving down to the US or Mexico, not because we don't love it here and we've been here close to 100 years, is because I put a permit into the city and I have construction guys outside and it's taking 1.5 years to get a permit. Guys, let's work on COVID speed. Every municipality, the province, the federal government, no more hokey pokey, put it on the carousel, go around for comments, hop on. I'm an expert at this. I'm telling you, I've worked in Toronto, City of Toronto. I know how it works. And then they put the comments on, and it goes on the carousel. It comes back for more comments. And the little Miss Jones is worried about the grasshopper and everything else you could think of. We need to start building. We need to start building businesses. So what I did, I called the mayor, and I won't say the name, and said, you know this permit? This guy's ready to move 200 jobs down south of the border because of permitting. So we have to move quick, no matter if it's this or building pipelines across our country or getting shovels in the ground for critical minerals. Do you hear what President Trump says? Invest $1 billion and we're waiving everything. You're going to get shovels in the ground. This is what we're competing against. The rules have changed now here in Ontario and Canada. We have to start moving, or guess what? They'll chew us up and spit us out in about 3 seconds. We have the brightest, most capable people in the world. We have the greatest nation, the greatest sub-sovereign nation right here in Ontario. Let's pull together, let's get our act together, start approving permits and approvals across the board, no matter if it's municipal or provincial.
Yeah, I want to pick up on something you said to Ian Bailey's first question about the hot mic moment there. Yeah. You said you thought Trump would be different this time around. He did campaign on tariffs once again. In his first administration, he hit Canada with steel and aluminum tariffs.
That's right.
What were you expecting specifically that was going to be different about Trump when he didn't make bones about it? Tariffs were coming.
Yeah, like I said, I can work with anyone. I don't care who it is. I think I proved it to the country, no matter if it's Liberal government or in Toronto, an NDP government or anyone. I just thought things might be a little different. We experienced 5 or 6 weeks of tariffs last time. I appreciate the federal government getting me involved down there. And what changed it is when we started to go after their bourbon. Honest, that's what happened. And I thought, okay, we're going to move forward. The economy's good. I believe in people that want to put money back into people's pockets. I believe in elected officials, no matter what stripe, lowering taxes on people and on businesses. That's economics 101. Put money into people's pockets and businesses right here. Right here. They're going to reinvest it in their people, technology, into their facility. But I'll tell you one thing, President Trump's not getting a Christmas card anytime soon, to say the least. And I'll do everything I can, mark my words, everything I can to protect Ontario jobs, people, communities, and businesses.
Mr. Ford, Mark McAllister from City News.
Hi, Mark.
I'm going to stick with the comments you made yesterday again. How many Ontario voters do you think supported the idea of Donald Trump getting elected?
Oh, I don't know. You know, I mean, I know there's support across the country. We aren't talking about that. I'm talking about the most serious situation this country has ever seen. I think it's even more serious than the pandemic. This is someone targeting Ontario. Do you know why he's targeting Ontario? Because we're an economic powerhouse now. He wouldn't be targeting Ontario 7 years ago. Matter of fact, they helped him. 300,000 jobs were chased out of the province. All we saw is taillights heading down to the U.S. along with companies. Not any longer. We've seen investments of $70 billion. I think in 23 that all of us, people like right here in Amico, created more jobs than all 50 U.S. states combined. Why? Because we cut the burden, cut the red tape and the regulation, reduced the cost of doing business by $8 billion. Companies are fleeing from all over the world to come here to Ontario because of the quality of the people, because we've cut $1 billion of red tape, because we've never ever raised a tax on businesses. Matter of fact, we've reduced them, lowered the burden $8 billion a year, and we're putting money back into these hardworking people's pockets. Simple as, no matter if it's filling up on your gas, every time you fill up on your gas, I wish we had a big sign on every pump. Because of the provincial government, the gas is 10.7 cents a litre cheaper than it would have been. The other parties believe in the carbon tax. I don't believe in gouging people. I believe in giving money back. On the $200 rebate, we were going ahead, no matter if there was election or no election, they were getting their $200 rebate. And I'll tell you the difference between ourselves and the other two parties or three parties. They believe when you get money in the government, it's the government's money. It's not the people's money. We think totally different. This is people's taxes that they paid, and we saw a little increase of revenues. We went around the cabinet table, it took us about 3 seconds to decide we're giving it back to the people that gave it to us. Very few governments that I know think that way. And I'll tell you, the three other parties, they don't think that way. They think, I'm going to take that extra money and I'm going to tax you more. That's their philosophy. High taxes do not work anywhere in the world.
You supported Donald Trump during his first time in office, when those first tariffs were implemented. What made you think that this was going to be any different?
Well, I went down there, and again, I thank the federal government for sending me down there to negotiate with Mr. Lighthizer, Bob Lighthizer at the time. Had a great relationship with him, and we all worked collaboratively together with Mr. Lighthizer, with the federal government, with all the provincial premiers at the time. We also all hopped on the plane and came down to Washington to meet the governors. Folks, this is all about relationship building. It's not tit for tat and back and forth. It doesn't work that way. You have to respect negotiations. When someone says we're going to give you a reprieve for 30 days, you don't jam it to them. You respect the art of negotiations. You say, that's fine, then we'll pull back. Folks, I got to explain it again. I don't think people understand the catastrophic hit we will take in the economy. There'd be 500,000 people losing their jobs here in Ontario. You negotiate fairly, and we're going to continue to negotiate fairly and honorably with respect on both sides of the border. We can be so much better if we stand together, if we're united together. We can build the AmCan fortress I keep talking about, and that's my goal.
Thank you, Premier. Marco Vigliotti, iPolitics. I do want to stay with the hot mic comments, but pick up what you said about those investments that you're saying are being drawn to Ontario. A big part of that are the investments your government's made, along with the federal government, in EV manufacturing. And while fair, President Trump did announce the 25% tariffs during the campaign, one thing he was very clear about was that he was going to dismantle the Biden government's EV subsidies program. Considering that this is what we're staring down,
Yep.
this may put more strain on your government and on those business decisions for those EV manufacturings. Can you explain why you were still excited to see this man take the White House?
Well, again, I'll work with anyone. I think you guys are obsessed with that. I will work with anyone. And I think I've been very, very clear yesterday in my press conference how I feel about President Trump. In saying that, let's put personalities aside. This is about people's livelihoods. This is about not just Canadian livelihoods in Ontario, but this is about American livelihoods that are going to lose their jobs. They're going to feel the pain like they've never felt before. This is all part of negotiating, and anyone that has ever negotiated that's listening understands this. Again, you don't go and start attacking each other, and we got attacked unprovoked. We're sitting here thinking we have great neighbors, which we do, best in the world, in my opinion, and all of a sudden, he launches an economic war. And the whole world is watching us right now. Two of the closest friends in the world, cherished allies, been shoulder to shoulder, and all of a sudden he gets in, and not just a little attack, he wants a full-out economic war. That does not work. And hopefully we're going to continue communicating that message to the American people, continue to communicate that with the senators and the governors and congresspeople. Keep in mind, their system works differently than ours. Yes, he has presidential powers, but he has to get through Senate and he has to get through Congress. And two of his own senators came out publicly, and there's many that haven't come out publicly yet, that don't support this. They do not support attacking Canada. Simple as that. China's the problem, not Canada.
And just as a follow-up, Premier, yesterday you doubled down saying on the need to remove internal trade barriers, saying we're in an economic war, and I know we have a temporary reprieve, but I just want to get firstly clarification: is this still something that's a priority for this government? And sorry, just one other point. And understand there's some things like certifications being recognized across jurisdictions, but there's some provisions you put in place to encourage businesses to buy Ontario products, for your government to choose from Ontario producers.
Yes.
Would you consider expanding that to the entire country, considering that we may be facing this pressure, this tariff threat from the U.S.?
Yeah, well, now that's a good question. So interprovincial trade barriers, we were just talking to Tim Houston. He's one of the premiers that's heading this up. We were just chatting this morning over text message. I'll be calling him after this. I say go full steam ahead. Like, this could add 50 to 100 billion to our GDP. This is good. Again, the games have changed, folks. In Canada, before, I've been trying to do this for 6 years with some other premiers. Barriers are up. Well, yeah, I'm all good to do this, but let's protect the bottle of wine that gets shipped from, that's just an example, but let's protect the bottle of wine from BC over to Ontario. We can do quicker and faster trade with 51 other countries in the world, including the U.S., than we can with, I don't know, BC and Ontario, for example. It's ridiculous. We need to change things. If we want to survive, we want to be prosperous, the rules have to change. And I think everyone knows right across the country the rules have to change.
Hi, Premier. Davis Legree with the Ottawa Compass. I wanted to stick with tariffs. They were paused yesterday after the Prime Minister and President Trump had a phone call.
Yeah,
you
God.
have called this election because you say you need a strong mandate to stand up to President
right.
Trump. What was your role in the negotiations that led to the pause in the tariffs yesterday?
I'm not going to get deep into this. I can't. But I can tell you, I think everyone's seen me. I'm out there working the U.S. media, hitting probably 100 million people through all the different, be it CNN or Fox or NBC or Fox Business and so on and so forth. I'm on that phone constantly with governors and senators, pretty powerful senators, sitting on powerful committees, getting the message out that we don't want to do this. We don't want to fight. The whole world's watching. Two of the closest allies fight each other. That's not good. and it's not good for either country. Because the rest of those countries around the world, they're sitting back thinking, if they're going after their best and closest ally, they're coming after us next. That's exactly what they're thinking. And I'm hearing it from ambassadors, consul generals, and business people from around the world. This is not good. Uncertainty is not good for business. It's not good for communities and jobs. We need certainty. And we'll do everything we can to work, not only with our federal government, but the U.S. federal government as well. As he has his key people in place, we're going to be continuing communicating. But I think we had I'm going to say we had an extremely strong voice in the decision yesterday. But we have to outlive and outlast Donald Trump for 4 years. That's what we need to do. And anyone who's as naive to think he's just going to roll over and, go to the White House and that's it. They don't know President Donald Trump, I'll tell you that.
And then switching gears real quickly, a question about local politics. Ottawa is one of the few areas where your party, your government, you guys haven't really had electoral success over the last couple of elections. Why do you think that is? Why hasn't your message resonated here in Ottawa?
Well, let's see what happens in this election. We're pretty confident we'll have more seats than the other people. I'm going to be very blunt here. No government, I've been around for 3 decades, no government has shown Ottawa more love and more support and more help than we have. I can't remember a premier having a great relationship with a great mayor like we have, and even his lovely wife's cookies. I think he goes right to my stomach, that goes to my heart, and I actually like your wife a lot more than you, Mayor, but that's all right. But anyways, we just have a great relationship. The council's been great. It's collaborative, but man, have we shown a lot of love here, and I love it. Every time I come here, I think I tell everyone the story. From the day I was nominated, every trip I come here is just incredible. I get excited when they say I'm coming to Ottawa. I really do.
Hi, Premier. Annie Rose Deschâtelet from Le Droit newspaper. Could we have your input on the federal proposition of a 6th bridge linking Gatineau and Ottawa? And what could it mean for the National Capital Region? We've been confirmed by Stephen McKinnon that you discussed this issue with Federal Minister Dominique LeBlanc.
Minister LeBlanc told me about a bridge you were saying?
Yeah, a 6th bridge between Gatineau and Ottawa.
Okay, I can't remember that, but I'm all for infrastructure. And I have a great relationship with Minister LeBlanc, that's no longer the infrastructure minister. But we're in. If we can get federal funding, we can get support from Quebec and Ontario, let's build. I'm all about building and putting infrastructure in. We announced another $22 billion for infrastructure the other day, on top of the $200 billion that we're doing right now across the province. In Ottawa, as you heard, got a good chunk of that, not only the infrastructure of the transit, but also the interchanges and rural roads. That's important. So I believe in infrastructure.
Monsieur Sutcliffe, rapidement, votre présence ici ce midi, est-ce que c'est un peu votre endossement à la candidature de... conférence de presse. Parfait. Merci beaucoup. Merci.
Good day, Mr. Ford.
Hi.
I'm Charlie Pinkerton of the Trillium. Long time no see. Earlier today, NDP leader Marit Stiles said that she doesn't think Donald Trump is aware of who you are. You've today and in the past plenty of times talked about the importance of relationships and negotiating. So I'm just wondering if you can share what your personal relationship is with Donald Trump, if there is any.
I don't have a personal relationship with Donald Trump.
Okay, thank you. Our publication published a story earlier today that was about a lawsuit against 2 former staffers of yours. I won't get into the nitty-gritty, but essentially it's about an alleged scheme to get properties rezoned for development.
I've never heard of this.
Well,
First time I've heard about it.
Okay, well, the question I have for you is, I'm just wondering if you think that your government has created a culture that, essentially allows people to believe that backroom dealing can help them
Absolutely not. It doesn't happen. Anything happens like that, they're fired instantly. I don't play those games. I focus on taking care of the people.
Hello, Mr. Ford. I'm Anna Louise from Radio Canada. Marit Stiles says this morning in a press conference that you left the province vulnerable and weak. What's your reaction?
Well, I'm going to have to disagree with Marit Stiles between the NDP that prompted up the Liberals that destroyed our province and gave us the largest sub-sovereign debt in the world, highest electricity costs, chased 300,000 jobs out of the province. Look where we're at. Isn't it amazing how different government, things change in 7 years? But we're going to continue being here and protecting the people of Ontario.
During your speech, you say that we need to buy 100% Ontario. How we achieve that?
Well, we're going to make sure that we allocate the $30 billion that we buy, and there's so many different agencies and so on and so forth that buy as well, along with the municipalities, 444 municipalities. They have massive buying power. But folks, I don't have to preach this. This is a no-brainer. I've never seen patriotism run so hard and so fast around our country, and I love it. I absolutely love to see patriotism in our country and our province and people waving the Canadian flag. And most of people that I see forget the political stripes. Canada comes first, and I love to see that. So let's all band together. We're an economic powerhouse. Our budget's $214 billion. Very few states in the U.S. can say their budget's $214 billion. Very few companies in the entire world can say their revenues are $214 billion, outside of a few, Walmart and maybe Amazon and a couple others. But we're right up there. So we have the buying power. And you know something? Americans know that. President Trump knows that. That's why we have a target on our back. And that's why we have to stay united, I should say, and fight with everything we have. And we will. Mark my words, we will.
This will be the last reporter.
Good afternoon, Mr. Ford. Thank you for taking the time. Austin Lee here with CTV News. My question is, what does Ontario need to do to reduce reliance on the United States, and how will your government make tangible steps to bring more manufacturing here to Ontario?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. You know, so we've set records on manufacturing. Over 200,000 jobs were created in 2024 alone. We're seeing right now, potentially, I mentioned the $70 billion from all over the world that have come in. By the way, not just in the EV sector. We've seen in the tech sector right here. Everyone thinks tech capital is Waterloo, Kitchener. Yeah, it's great. Those are really good places. The real tech capital is right here in Ottawa. How many companies? Is there 600, Mayor? In the tech sector? Yeah. 800, wow. So this is the tech capital of Canada, and we've invested here in tech companies. Life sciences as well, over $6 billion have been invested in Ontario. You have to create the climate, the conditions for companies to come here. If government creates jobs, I'll tell you folks, we're all in deep trouble. We create the climate and the conditions for companies to come here, for the lower taxes, lower energy, but the number one selling feature are our people. They're absolutely incredible. Right now on the table, we have tens of billions of dollars. Right now, it's on hold. People are nervous. That's what I talk about, uncertainty. But there's no better government anywhere in this country that can drive economic growth that we have, and we have a proven track record.
Just as a follow-up to the LRT, or for the LRT announcement here, I wanted to talk about the timeline of this announcement. So when did these conversations begin, and why are you announcing this commitment now?
Well, this conversation's been going on since the day the mayor got elected. He said that's one of the number one issues, and it's a massive financial burden for a city, no matter how big Ottawa is, and it's the second largest in our province. That's a massive burden to put around someone's neck. But we're there. We're going to support the mayor, the citizens of Ottawa, the city council, and it's just like 1,000 pounds were just lifted off their shoulders today. But this conversation is going on every time I talk to the mayor. This guy's a champion. He fights for his people in Ottawa like you've never seen before. And he has the backing of the city council, and he's just an incredible person. He really is. A smart guy, too. Very smart. Sorry, I keep calling you a guy. Sorry, Mayor. He's a smart mayor.
Thank you. This concludes today's press conference.
Okay, thanks, everyone. Thank you.